Alright, so it's June. Everyone's panicking a bit, thinking they've missed the boat for planting. You see all the spring stuff fading and you get these gaps, big, ugly, empty gaps in the border. But honestly, June is the secret weapon. It's the perfect time to get perennials in the ground because the soil is properly warm, the plants are ready to just explode with growth, and you can see exactly where you need a splash of color that's going to last right through until autumn. This isn't about filling a space for a few weeks. This is about putting in the backbone plants, the ones that come back year after year and really perform. I'm going to walk you through 12 that I rely on, the ones that are tough, beautiful, and won't let you down. These are the plants that will make your garden look lush and full all summer, even when the heat really kicks in. So grab your trowel, let's fill some of those gaps. First up, an absolute classic for a reason, Rudbeckia or Black-eyed Susan. Now don't just lump this in with any old yellow daisy. This thing is the powerhouse. You plant a small one in June and by August it's a full-on shrub loaded with these intensely golden flowers. Most people don't realize that many common varieties are actually short-lived perennials, sometimes acting more like biennials. They'll flower their stalks off for a year or two, set a seed, and then their offspring take over. The one mistake people make is being too tidy. Don't deadhead all of them in the autumn. Leave those dark, comb-like seed heads standing. Goldfinches and other little birds go absolutely mad for them in the winter, clinging to the stalks. It's free bird food and it gives you something interesting to look at when everything else is bare. Honestly, for the sheer number of flowers you get for almost zero effort, it's pretty much unbeatable in a sunny spot. They just ask for sun and reasonably decent drainage. That's it. Next, we've got to talk about Echinacea, the coneflower. Everyone knows the classic purple one, but the breeding that's gone into these over the last decade is just insane. You can get them in screaming orange, sunset red, pure white. Anything. They have this really sturdy architectural feel with the shuttlecock-like cones in the middle. Bees absolutely lose their minds over these things, especially the big bumblebees. You'll see them just sleeping on the flower heads in the evening. A little known fact is that their roots contain compounds that mildly numb your tongue if you chew on them, which is why they were used historically by Native Americans for toothaches. My main tip is don't kill them with kindness. Hate wet feet, especially in winter, and they don't need rich, heavily composted soil. Give them full sun and well-drained ground and they'll be happy for years. Let the seed heads stand over winter too, just like the Rudbeckia. The finches will thank you for it. Now for a proper cottage garden staple, the Shasta Daisy. This isn't some wild, ancient flower. It was actually meticulously created by the American plant breeder Luther Burbank in the late 1800s. He crossed 4 different daisies from around the world to get this perfect, bright white, sunny yellow scented flower. It's the absolute definition of a cheerful plant. You'll see this in old gardens, making these huge sprawling clumps along fence lines. They just bloom for ages. The one mistake I see people make is not dividing them. After 3 or 4 years, the center of the clump can start to die out and you get fewer flowers. Just dig the whole thing up in the spring, chop it into a few pieces with a spade, and replant them. It feels brutal, but trust me, the plant loves it. You get more plants for free and they flower much more vigorously. They're not fussy, but give them sun. They'll get floppy and sad in the shade. Let's move on to something that works just as hard but with a totally different feel, Nepeta or Catmint. And no, it's not just for cats, although they do love to roll in it. This is hands down one of the most useful perennials you can own. It's got this lovely soft gray-green foliage and produces clouds of hazy lavender blue flowers for months on end. Bees and hoverflies are all over this plant from dawn till dusk. It's a living buffet for them. Honestly, this is one of the toughest plants I've ever grown. It shrugs off drought, doesn't care about poor soil, and just keeps on going. The big practical tip with this one is the Chelsea chop, or something similar. After its first massive flush of flowers starts to look a bit tired around midsummer, take your shears and cut the whole plant back by about half. It'll look terrible for a week, but then it will push out a whole new flush of fresh foliage and flowers that will see you right through to the first frosts. It's brilliant for softening the edges of a path. And there's Yarrow, or Echinacea. This one has a wild, meadowy feel to it, but the modern cultivars are so well behaved and come in incredible colors. From pale pastels to deep terracotta and vibrant magenta. The flowers are these flat-topped clusters that are perfect landing pads for pollinators like hoverflies and ladybirds. Its botanical name, Echinacea, actually comes from Achilles, the Greek hero, who supposedly used it to treat his soldier's wound. On the battlefield, it has properties that help stop bleeding, My big warning is that it can be a bit of thug. If it's too happy, give it spot in full sun with soil that isn't too rich or damp, and it will behave itself. If you put it in lovely, rich, moist soil, it'll spread everywhere. It's a plant that thrives on a bit of neglect, which is my kind of plant. The spent flower heads also look fantastic left on through the winter, catching the frost. Okay, let's talk about Salvia, specifically the perennial meadow sages like Caradonna or May-night. People hear a sage and think of the herb for cooking, but this is a completely different branch of the family bred for pure flower power. They produce these intense spires of violet, blue, or purple that are just magnetic to bees. You could hear a patch of it buzzing from 10 feet away. The foliage has a slightly savory, peppery smell when you crush it, which is a nice surprise. The absolute key to keeping these things flowering all summer is deadheading. As soon as a flower spike starts to fade, don't just snip the top off. Follow the stem down to where you see a new set of small leaves or side shoots starting and cut just above that. This encourages the plant to send up new flower spikes from the base instead of putting energy into making seeds. It can feel like a bit of a chore, but doing it once a week, you'll have color from June right through to September. They're brilliant. Next up is Coreopsis, especially the threadleaf varieties like Moonbeam or Zagreb. This plant is all about texture. It has this incredibly fine, almost feathery foliage that creates this soft, hazy effect in the border. Then it covers itself in hundreds of small, star-like yellow flowers. It's not a big, dramatic look-at-me plant. It's more of a team player weaving through other plants and filling gaps with a delicate cloud of color. Honestly, it's one of the longest blooming perennials you can possibly plant. It just goes and goes and goes. A failure note from my own experience. They can rot out in heavy, wet clay soil over winter. They really prefer a sandier, well-drained spot. They don't need much feeding at all. In fact, too much fertilizer will give you lots of leafy growth and fewer flowers. It's another one of those plants that performs best when you don't fuss over it too much. Just want sun and to be left alone. Now for a plant that brings movement to the garden. Gaura, its common name is whirling butterflies, and that's exactly what it looks like. It has these long, thin, wiry stems with delicate little pink or white flowers along the ends that dance and bob in the slightest breeze. It's absolutely mesmerizing. Most people don't realize it's a North American prairie native, originally from places like Texas and Louisiana, which tells you everything you need to know about its needs. It loves heat and hates winter wet. The number one mistake people make is planting it in a spot with poor drainage. It will not survive a cold, soggy winter. So add some grit to the planting hole if you have heavy soil that has the really long taproot, which helps it find water in a drought, but also means it resents being moved once it's established. So pick your spot carefully, give it loads of sun, and just let it dance. It's a beautiful, graceful. And we have Russian sage, Perovskia. First things first, a surprising fact. It's not a sage and it's not from Russia. It's actually more closely related to mint and is native to the rocky plains of Central Asia. But what a plant. It has these silvery, almost ghostly stems and foliage topped with these airy panicles of lavender blue flowers in mid to late summer. The smell when you brush past the foliage is incredible. Sharp, clean, slightly medicinal that I absolutely love. The single biggest mistake gardeners make is cutting it back in the autumn. Don't do it. Leave the silvery stems standing all winter. They look amazing, especially with a bit of frost on them. Wait until you see the new little gray buds starting to break from the base in spring, and then you can cut the old stems right down to about 6 inches. It's a fantastic plant for hot, dry, gravelly area where other things might struggle. Now for a plant that I think every garden should have, Sedum Autumn Joy, or Hylolephium as it's now properly called, but nobody calls it that. This plant is the definition of a 4-season perennial. In spring, you get these neat rosettes of fleshy, succulent-like leaves. By June, they've formed these tight, green, broccoli-like flower heads that look great even before they bloom. Then in late summer, they open up into these big, flat-topped, dusty pink flowers. And butterflies absolutely lose their minds over this plant. It's one of the most important late-season nectar sources. Then the flowers age too. A beautiful deep russet red and finally a dark brown. Don't cut them back. Leave the seed heads for winter interest. The one way to ruin this plant is to grow it in the shade. It needs full baking sun. And even a little bit of shade, it will get tall, leggy, and the heavy flower heads will cause the whole thing to flop from the center. Sun, sun, sun. Let's talk about a classic scent of summer. Phlox. Specifically, the tall garden phlox, Phlox paniculata. You can't beat the fragrance. On a warm summer evening, the sweet, slightly spicy scent just hangs in the air. It's what old-fashioned cottage gardens smell like. They produce these huge dome-like heads of flowers in shades of pink, purple, magenta, and pure white, often with a contrasting eye in the center. The big problem, the failure note everyone knows with phlox, is powdery mildew. It can make the lower leaves look awful by midsummer. The key practical tip is to give them good circulation. Don't cram them in between other big, bushy plants. When you water the base of the plant, not the leaves. And honestly, the best thing you can do is choose modern, mildew-resistant varieties from the start. They've bred some fantastic ones that really do stay clean all season. And finally, you can't have a summer garden without lavender. I'm talking specifically about English lavender, Lavandula angustifolia, varieties like Hickgoat or Munstead. The fragrance from both the flowers and the foliage is just the absolute smell of summer for me. Bees adore it. The silvery foliage is a perfect contrast to greener plants, and it's incredibly drought tolerant once established. The number one catastrophic mistake people make is planting it rich, heavy clay soil and overwatering it. It's a Mediterranean plant. It needs sharp drainage and sun. If you have clay soil, plant it on a mound or add a huge amount of grit and sand to the planting hole. Honestly, it would rather be too dry than too wet. My best tip is to harvest the flower stems for drying just as the buds are showing color, but before they fully open, that's when the essential oils are at their peak and they'll hold their scent and color for months indoors.